Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined by Tikki. Bro, introduce yourself.
My name's Tikki. Run my own personal training business down the road from here. Doing personal training, sports rehab, boot camps, that sort of stuff.
How long you been doing it for?
A very long time. About 15 years now.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, about 15 years. Yeah.
15 years.
15 years, yeah. It's flown by. It's actually flown by.
15 years. I mean, how did you get into it, 15 years ago?
I didn't really want to I wasn't very academic, basically. I wanted to do something that kind of helped people, but I didn't know what at the time. So I was like, what do I do? I wasn't very good at school, wasn't very good at keeping my head in the books and that sort of stuff. Funny enough, actually, not a lot of people know this, I actually wanted to be a mechanic before being a personal trainer. Before doing any of my courses and that sort of stuff, I got accepted with BMW, an apprentice with BMW apprenticeship, which I turned down to actually do my sports qualifications. So, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never even knew that.
No, there you go. I know.
Because just a little disclaimer for the viewers, I obviously know you through the gym, Magenta, which is in Braywick. I've been going there for a few years.
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations there, haven't we?
We have, and I think it was important to get you on, to talk a little bit more about why it is, you do what you do and why you feel so passionately about it.
Massively.
Because one thing you do on the weekends, well, not just weekends to be fair, but you do boot camps, right?
Yeah.
So what was the thinking behind that?
Personal training isn't affordable to everybody. Boot camp, also the group environment is much nicer sometimes, like being a little bit competitive with the person next to you, that sort of stuff. And with boot camp, my vision was to create a community of like-minded people who can motivate one another. That was always my goal, and I have. The group is fantastic. We've got such a big group. I think we've got 30 people signed up now, which is amazing. We have like Christmas socials, we have like Christmas party, summer party. It's just really fun. It's really, really fun.
It's sick, because I went to one of them.
Which one did you go to? Or which one did you come to?
Saturday morning. I went to a Saturday morning boot camp.
You did, yeah.
Bro, I thought, because I went with my mum.
I was about to say, you brought your mum with you, didn't
you? I wasn't going to go. Because I was going to go to the gym, and then my mum was like, I want to try this boot camp.
She did well. She did really well.
She did well.
I don't think she liked me afterwards, though.
No, she knew you were coming. She sends her regards. So I think
good.
She does want to come. She does want to come back soon, to be fair. I think awesome. She does. But I went because just to kind of give her some moral support. Yeah. And bro, it was intense. These
don't
guys
say that to her. I'm going to put people off.
No, but in a good way. And I think it ties back to what you were saying about the kind of the competitive nature of it, but that kind of good and positive kind of.
You never worked that hard by yourself, basically.
Yeah, it was so positive, bro. Everyone was so nice.
Yeah.
So nice.
And you got some right characters there as well. Yeah. So, it's great fun, a little bit of banter, working hard. And before you know it, like an hour and a half's gone and you're like, wow, I did all of that.
Literally. How important do you think then a kind of competitive nature there is to fitness?
Oh, there needs to be an element of it. There needs to be an element of it. Otherwise, you won't push yourself. You need to push yourself to get results. And if there's no competitiveness, it's very hard to do that, to push anybody. You'll kind of just plateau off and,
So, training by yourself, obviously there are people that prefer training by themselves, but then for you, would you recommend, because obviously you're a PT, right? So would you recommend, if you can, training with someone else just to kind of push you that extra 10, 20%?
Yeah, 100%. I even as a trainer, I still prefer training with somebody else. Like if I walk into the gym and I'm training by myself, there's been times where I've just gone, nah, and walk straight back out again. I was like, really? I don't want to do this, But whereas if I'm training with somebody, there's that competitive nature and the accountability. Same way that people use me. I suppose a lot of people know how to train, but it's that accountability of actually I've booked in with my trainer, I need to go and train. Whereas if you haven't got that accountability, you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. And you won't do it. Then 2 weeks have passed, 3 weeks have passed, a month has passed. And you're like, oh yeah, I was meant to do something. You never did it.
Do you think that's okay then? So if there's someone out there who kind of relies on going with someone else, because there's such a big thing about discipline and self-discipline, right, and holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that it's okay to kind of let someone else hold you accountable?
Yeah, of course it is, because you need that push in the right direction, and you might not be able to do it necessarily yourself. And having that self-discipline is very difficult. If it was that easy, my job wouldn't exist, I don't think. So definitely think it's so important to have someone else with you, not necessarily holding you at gunpoint. You need to go to the gym, but that little motivation where one day you're like, I really don't fancy it today, and your mate gives you a call and be like, come on man, let's go and go smash the gym. That's the boost you needed to go, right, actually, yeah, let me get off of my ass. I've been sitting here 9 hours of the day, typing away, working, whatever you're doing. I need to go get moving. And it's just that little push that you need sometimes.
I suppose it's imperative that that person is on it though, because surely if it's like someone is a bit flaky, it's like, oh yeah, we'll go gym, bro, and it's like, then it's
don't pick a flaky partner.
So picking the right partner
is very important. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There'll be days where both of you like, just go get a burger and chips. Yeah, fine, man. That's okay. Absolutely fine. As long as you're not doing that every week, that's absolutely fine. I think it's, yeah.
You definitely push harder when you're with someone else, to be fair. 100 million %.
Yeah. We've had a session before, haven't we?
We have, but not like properly.
No.
I think we need to get one in.
I was going to say, I've asked you a few times. Leg day.
Leg day?
Yeah.
I mean,
we said about this.
I don't know about leg day.
You're on camera now, so you know.
Well, yeah, I'm going to have to. Well, yeah, we'll just pick a date and we'll get it done.
I'll hold you to it now.
But I mean, on the topic of legs, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people watching this, right, thinking, oh, leg day, like, yeah, that's a myth. But one bit of advice you gave me was training a bit of legs every day of the week rather than a massive day dedicated to legs.
Yeah, it's overwhelming otherwise, isn't it? Like, I've got to do leg day. Most people go, oh, it's leg day today. Oh, I don't fancy it. I don't want to squat. I don't want to deadlift. I don't want to do this. Well, actually, if you incorporate it into your weekly program every day, so you do shoulders and legs, chest and legs, back and legs, it's much easier to manage. That's what you did, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's the right thing for everybody, but it works for some people.
Well, I suppose because like with volume, it's so hard otherwise to get that amount of volume done in one day for legs, unless you train legs twice a week. Yeah. But that is, like, you're talking, like, myths, that is a serious myth. That's never happened.
You're not walking.
No. When are you squeezing it in? It's
hard. It is really hard.
That's tough.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You've got to train according to your lifestyle. I don't think a lot of people do that. What fits in with your lifestyle, and how can I adjust my training to fit it in? And that's the most important question to ask yourself before you start training. And you've got to enjoy it as well. Like, a lot of people hate leg day. So how do you make leg day more enjoyable? Break it down a little bit, and do a little bit here, a little bit there. Much more manageable. I find when I've given that advice, I mean, I don't know, you tell me, like, I've given you that advice. How's your leg days been now?
They are a lot more enjoyable because I think like mentally it's like, okay, cool. I'm kind of putting them in between 3-4 other things. So it's like, it's not bad.
You know, at the end of your leg set, you've got a bit of a bicep pump going on. Yeah. It's all right.
It's all right. It's like, it's like a double whammy.
Exactly.
It's okay. It kind of works.
Balances out, right?
Yeah. But I think that's such an interesting kind of perspective, is like fitting it into your routine and schedule. Because I think for me, you know, especially the studio and you know, trying to do both simultaneously, a lot of the times before I was just getting it wrong in terms of too rigid with my approach. I think now it's like, how much time have I got? Yeah. And what can I get done in that amount of time? Rather than compromise and not get done what I want to get done. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just fitting it into the schedule, which I think a lot of people can.
It's thinking outside the box. We've been taught over the years, this is how we need to train. You can change things about to fit your lifestyle. And that's absolutely fine. You're allowed to, you know, be rogue and do, I know, arms and legs if you wanted to in one session. That's absolutely fine. It's whatever works for you, not works for someone else.
Because that kind of ties me into my next conversation, because there's so much information out there and conflicting information.
Of course.
Where it's like, you have to be so selective about what you listen to.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to ask you was, calorie counting.
Yeah,
How do you feel about calorie counting?
I like it, but again, it's the same thing. What works for one person might not work for somebody else. So there's different ways of doing it, especially with calorie counting. I think it can go the opposite way, and you can become very obsessive. What I find is doing some calorie counting and getting an idea of what your base looks like. Right? Okay, I know roughly how much is in this, roughly how much is in that. Having a rough baseline of how many calories you need to eat per day, and then stopping. Then you know, right, this has got that much, this has got that much. Then you're fine. But carrying it on for the rest of your life, if it works without you getting too obsessive about it, it's good. Yeah.
Because it is important as well, knowing what's kind of going into your body, I think.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Because, I mean, even for me, bro, I was calorie counting for a period of time. And the one thing that, like, shocked me was sauces. So, like,
the amount of calories.
Bro. Yeah, I was like... Because I was doing, say, for example, like a tuna sandwich.
Condiments, man, yeah.
Mate, the tuna's fine, sweet corn's fine, even the bread's calm. The mayo...
Where's it going?
That's like 120 calories. I was like, wait, what?
It tops you up, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of important, even if you do it for a period of time, to like know what is going to...
And this is it. It's doing it for a little bit, getting an idea of how much is in what, and then carrying on with that. I think in most cases, when people come up to it, it's all it is a case of moderation, right? Everything in moderation is fine. I'm sure you've heard this loads of times, but it's true. Like, eating 16 chocolate bars a day, probably not so great, but eating 1 or 2, you're probably all right. It's nothing bad is going to happen, but it's the quantity we eat and how conveniently everything is available to us. Like, you could click on your phone and be like, all right, shopping's there, like takeaways there. Right, that's ridiculous how quick things arrive at your door. So you got to be careful of what you're putting in your body, yes, but in moderation.
I mean, you said then obviously there's things are so much, they're so accessible to us now. Yeah. I mean, how would you kind of approach cravings? Like, would you
go for it?
So you
keep me in business. I'm joking.
What's your approach on craving? Like, do you? Because I know that a lot of people try and find something similar, like a healthy version of it, but then the kind of feeling's still there. What's your approach on it?
Like, if you got cravings, go for it. Again, it keeps coming back to moderation. Like, you shouldn't deny yourself anything really, depending on what it is. But you shouldn't really deny yourself. And if you want a chocolate bar, have a chocolate. If you want some ice cream, have some ice cream. But incorporate it into your life. Like, adjust things about. Like, if you roughly know you need to eat like 2,500 calories a day, incorporate it into that 2,500 calories. Don't have your 2,500 calories and go, oh, I fancy a big tub of ice cream. Like, you're overdoing it, right?
Yeah.
It's having that awareness. And if you can do that, then you'll be absolutely fine. You can have basically whatever you want to eat. There's no such thing as a bad food. It's just the quantity we eat it in. And that's basically it. Everyone thinks it's rocket science. It's really not.
Yeah, of course. Of course it's not. Because I think that's good advice. Because if you want like a packet of crisps, if you try and find a healthy alternative, you're still going to want a packet of crisps.
Yeah, just have a packet of crisps and then be done with it. Yeah.
Literally. I think people do take it to
an extreme.
It doesn't necessarily need to, go down unless you are competing or trying to get super, super peeled.
And most people have office jobs and aren't competing in anything. So why are you going to the crazy extremes? You don't need to. Don't deny yourself, like, the joys in life. I love having chocolate. I love having ice cream. And I will eat it. And I say that to all my clients to normalize it. Have a good relationship with food. And that's so healthy.
Do you know what? I'm going to bait you out right now because
no.
you just said about
chocolate.
I
know what you're going to ask me.
So for the viewers watching this, so Tikki eats crisps and chocolate
together
at the same time. And when I say the same time, I mean together. He eats them simultaneously.
It's a thing. I'm telling you, it's a thing.
It's not a thing. I mean...
When we were in the gym, moderation, of course, obviously, yeah.
That is genuinely a double whammy. Crisps and chocolate at the same time.
Yeah.
But everyone in the gym that day was like, oh, yeah, I do that.
How many people said yes?
That was scary, though.
Exactly.
That's actually scary.
I think it's important. I think it's really important.
Crisps and chocolate?
Yeah.
You do
It's
feel
a
very
good combination.
About that,
yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have.
But what combination though? What kind of what's the go-to combination for crisp and chocolate at the same time?
Ideal, it will be salt and vinegar crisp and a like plain Cadbury's bar maybe.
That is wild.
Like together.
That is wild.
Walker's and salt and vinegar crisp, ideally.
But what's the thinking behind that? Like,
I don't know. Everyone has their weird things. When I went to college, there was there's someone that liked banana and Marmite together.
That's crazy. Why? Like, why though? Like, why? That doesn't make sense.
Why not?
See, but this is the thing. Like, just because two things are good separately, does not mean that they should be had together. Surely.
It depends on your palate, right?
Yeah, but you won't eat. Like. Yeah, but you won't eat pineapple on pizza, but you'll eat crisp and chocolate at the same time.
Right. Okay. So you need to get an Italian sat here, and ask them that question and see what they say.
I think they'd be less outraged at pineapple on pizza than crisp and chocolate at the same time. I feel like they would.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that.
Because crisp and chocolate is a that's a brazy one.
It's a good. Have you tried it yet?
No, I don't think I ever will.
Why not? All right, we're gonna have leg day, right? And then we're gonna have some crisp and chocolate.
That's my treat.
Right, that's gonna be your treat.
For leg day.
You got to eat it together though.
The thing is, if you said like a ready salted crisp,
all right,
with like a super plain chocolate, that kind of makes sense.
But like why does ready salted work?
Because
and
salted,
not vinegar.
Because vinegar's just brazy with chocolate, but like salt, you get like salted caramel. You get like that kind of makes sense, sort of.
All right.
I still wouldn't do it personally.
You haven't tried it though. You haven't tried it. It does work.
All right, next time we get
and there was a lot of people in the gym that agreed with me.
That's what shocked me.
There was a majority there. Majority vote was that it works.
I am convinced that this was a pre-planned agreement. So I was shocked.
I know you were shocked. You had no words.
I was lost for words, which is rare.
That is rare.
Which is super rare. So I mean, I couldn't believe that everyone in the gym was saying but. We're going to ask you, the viewers, is that a normal thing? Do you do that?
It's a normal thing, guys. It's a normal thing.
But, bro, one thing as well I did want to ask you, which is a little bit more serious, was, a little while back, you did undergo a big operation, which could have probably put you on a different path in terms of fitness and your approach to it. I mean, could you talk to us a little bit about that and how that kind of affected your journey?
Yeah. Wow. Wasn't expected to talk about this. So it was a lipoma on my heart, and to be fair, until I was on the operating table, it wasn't real. Like, no matter what, I talked to surgeons, went through loads of MRIs and scans and everything. The surgeon even said, you could potentially die from this. And I was like, cool. It just went in one ear, came out the other. It's like my brain didn't want to listen. Until I was on the operating table, it wasn't real. And I didn't even think about the impact it would have on my life afterwards or even during. Scary. It was really scary. Scary time.
How long ago was that?
I think 4 years ago now.
4 years?
Yeah, maybe just over.
And did that, after the op, did that kind of affect your approach to fitness and training, or did it kind of...
I mean, you're representing right now, right?
Of course.
And what does it say on the back of that hoodie?
No excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of used it as, right, no excuses. I've had a big op. Doesn't matter. Just got to crack on. Got to push through. Obviously, to a certain extent, couldn't push through because essentially it was open heart surgery. So when I was coming back into training, my approach was completely different. It made me see things in a different way, and it also made me realize how important it is to be healthy and move. There was people in the hospital that had gone through far less than me, but it been in there much, much longer. That's crazy. And it was just because I was fit and healthy. People younger than me in there, I'm like, it's crazy. Like, their recovery is a lot slower. Mine was pretty quick, and I think that's because I've kept myself fairly healthy. And if I wasn't like that going into it, I think it would have been a different story. My recovery on the other end would have been much, much harder. I had a lot of support around me as well, so which is quite nice.
Yeah. Were you was there a little bit of time before you kind of had that mentality and approach to it after, in terms of, no excuses, we'll use it as fuel and go again? Was there a bit of time in between that where you were kind of like, I don't really want to carry on with this, or was it just that from the start?
When I first got home, I was like, what the heck am I going to do here? Like, it was a struggle. Like, but they'd ripped half my chest open. I couldn't move this arm. It was in a sling. I looked like the Terminator. There was so many staples in my arm. It was crazy. So I was like, what do I do? Like, will I ever recover from this? Because they did say I will never be the same again, like strength-wise and stuff like that, which was a big thing. I was like, well, training is my life. Like, what am I going to do? It was more the mental challenge, I think, was the hardest than the physical challenge. Keep myself positive, but everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay. Just keep going. It was a slow process. And I've said to you in the gym now, even now, like, I still can't do everything, but it doesn't put me down. There's a lot of things I can still do. And the most important thing is I'm still alive. It's a Brucey bonus, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
So, yeah.
You can't put a price on that at all. So.
No, you can't.
Yeah. I mean, you said then that the doctors have said the strength will probably never come back. Have you found that, or have you kind of
I'm quite stubborn. So I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. No, I'm going to make sure I get my strength back. And to be fair, it's much, much better than it was.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't do any press-ups or anything like that. Like, it was crazy. And no pull-ups. I know they're hard as it is, like, but we won't talk about that today.
Yeah, definitely not.
We'll move on from that really quickly. But I kept my head down. I was like, right, my motto is no excuses, right? So I was like, I can't let my clients down either. They're watching me go through this. I was like, I've got to show them that there is no excuses. You can push through it to a certain degree, of course. So I did. I just kept going. And it's only in the last year or so I felt stronger and better, which is, it's been a long process, long journey. Been a long, long journey. But here I am.
Well, I see you now in the gym just doing like 40 pull-ups. So it's like, I think the strength has definitely exceeded.
It's picked up, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's nice.
100%, bro. And I mean, there was... Because I briefly touched on it earlier, and I think because there is so much different information out there, it's so hard to pick one thing and stick with it.
Of course.
Right? So let's paint a hypothetical. Let's say there's someone out there who's not necessarily happy with how they're looking or feeling. Mm-hmm. More importantly, they're not happy with how they're feeling, and they want to kind of get into shape, and they're not sure how. There's just so much. What steps would you recommend to them to kind of put the right processes in place?
First thing I'd ask them is if they've got social media, and then to stop looking at any of those some of those terrible influences that are on there. I think with social media growing now, our perception of health has been ruined. So, like, people want a six-pack, people want to get shredded, and people see these pictures on Instagram and whatever. I'm like, I want to look like this person, I want to look like this. And my answer to that is, do you want to be miserable? Because to have a six-pack, it's miserable. Like, to have that low body fat percentage, it's miserable. You don't want to be like that. So changing that attitude is very difficult. It takes a long time. So I try and work with my clients to kind of give them a better idea of what health is and what it looks like. And that is hard, man. That is really hard to do.
Because I suppose so many of these influencers, there's always something being sold at the end of it. Yeah. Which is, that's why it kind of benefits them.
Ask the question, what are they trying to sell you? Different things work for different people, and getting that message across to my clients and to everybody, to be fair, is very important. Training's hard, man. Like, training is very difficult. People need to get an idea of there's no magic pill. You have to work hard and moderate your nutrition, and it's as easy as that. That's it. And having a balance in life, and it's teaching people that is the hard thing, because everyone in this world, everyone wants everything like that very quickly, convenient. And it doesn't work like that. Everything takes time. I normally work with clients for like 6 months to a year before that attitude starts changing. And it's that constant conversation and reinforcement that you have to keep going over to change their view on life, to change their view on health. And I think it is very important they stop following certain people on social media.
Because it's a journey as well, isn't it? It's like, I think the problem with social media is, get shredded in 8 weeks, get shredded in 12 weeks. It's like...
everything's a quick fix. There's no such thing, though. There's no such thing. Everything takes time. Everything takes time.
Especially something as important as your health.
Yeah, you can't rush that. As a personal trainer, you have a lot of influence on people, so it's so important you get the right message out to everybody. Because if I said to my clients, here's a magic pill, it's £1,000, some of them would take it because it's an easy way of doing it, but it's not the right way of doing it. The right way is going to take a little bit longer. It's a bit of a process, and you just got to trust the process, really.
You have to love that journey, don't you?
Yeah.
You have to.
Everyone's going through their own journey. Like, you're going through your own journey. I'm going through my own journey. Like, Felix is going through his own journey. Like, it's just got to let it be.
Bro, thank you so much for
That's
coming
all right.
on, man. Really appreciate
No worries.
it. I think there's so much that you said that so many different people could get insight.
I hope so, yeah.
Different generations, different of all different ages. I think it is very, very interesting. And your approach to health and fitness is a different one to social media, but it's refreshing. So thank you, bro.
That's right. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. It's been Tikki. We'll catch you in the next podcast. Take care.